Victoria Swan Lake.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, last week the BC Liberals got caught red-handed using taxpayer money to help out their friends. $350,000 direct awarded to a company that worked on the Premier's leadership campaign, even designed the BC Liberal Party's logo, was lavished with contracts to help her pick a fight with teachers. Can the Premier stand up and explain to the taxpayers of British Columbia who were fleeced by this scheme why her friends are getting special access to government contracts?
Minister of Education.
Well, Madam Speaker, I'm really aware that the members opposite are still smarting from the fact that this government was able to negotiate a settlement with the BCTF that's a historical settlement in this province. As part of that, Madam Speaker, this government made it very clear from the beginning. A negotiated settlement was our priority. That's fact number one. Fact number two, that we were going to keep the people of British Columbia informed as to what the issues were and what this government position was. And I find it interesting, Madam Speaker, that the very members opposite who wanted an arbitrated settlement, who wanted a legislated settlement, now are complaining because this government informed the people of British Columbia so that they could avail themselves of a support payment because of the strike. And Madam Speaker, we had almost 100% subscription. And Madam Speaker, I suspect that there is a large number of teachers who availed themselves of that support payment as well. So we make no apology, Madam Speaker, for keeping the people of British Columbia informed through the means that were available to us, and indeed their response at the end of the strike to us was we did the job we promised to do.
Recognizing Victoria Swan Lake on a supplemental.
I do, Madam Speaker, and what the minister just said is just the kind of spin that taxpayer money was wasted on to describe the longest school disruption dispute in British Columbia history. It's bad enough, Madam Speaker, that the BC Liberals wasted money on this scheme when kids in our school in this province have seen so many special education teachers laid off. But now, Madam Speaker, to make it worse, we see this government writing fat checks for Facebook spots, for promoted tweets, for Google AdWords and all those things to BC Liberal friends and insiders. It's downright offensive to every British Columbian, no matter how they felt about the school dispute. So will the Premier do the right thing, Madam Speaker? Do the right thing and apologize to kids and parents in BC for cooking up this wasteful scheme that rewards her friends using taxpayer money.
Minister of Education.
Well, Madam Speaker, I'm sure the member opposite is trying hard to move into the top five that the Leader of the Opposition has. But you know, Madam Speaker, it is very interesting, Madam Speaker, that the members opposite who wanted us to arbitrate or legislate, not to communicate to the people of British Columbia, not to keep them informed, not to use the very vehicles that were being used by all of the other people that are involved in this dispute, including the members opposite, Madam Speaker. And I will say this, the people of British Columbia knew the issues, they knew what this government stood for, they knew that this government, supposedly the longest strike, that resulted in the longest ever negotiated settlement, Madam Speaker. Speaker, as the weather vane revolves on the other side of this House, I can tell you this, the government is going to continue to keep the people of British Columbia informed.
Recognizing the member for Nelson Preston. Nelson Preston.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I'd like to remind the Minister of Education that taxpayer-funded ads are supposed to be neutral, and these simply were not. And now taxpayers find out that they are on the hook to the Premier's friend for these mean-spirited ads to the tune of $350,000. And that's after they have already been billed nearly $900,000 since the Premier took office in 2001. Madam Speaker, that's money that should have gone into the classroom. So why is the Premier able to find money for her insider firms, for her friends, from her leadership campaign, but cries empty coffers when it comes to putting money into BC classrooms?
Minister of Education.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I would urge the member opposite to look at how social media is used on that side of the House when it comes to besmirching other members of this House, Madam Speaker, and doing a character assassination, Madam Speaker. This government gave facts to the people of British Columbia to a firm that was qualified through an open RFP process, Madam Speaker, and that firm did not receive all of those funds, Madam Speaker. It was used to buy the space to give the people of British Columbia the facts that they deserved, and Madam Speaker, they got the facts, they understood where the government was, and they knew that the government was going to get a negotiated settlement, Madam Speaker, and you know what? The facts speak for themselves.